So this is my quick review or initial impressions of the 2019 Capra 29AL base. I say quick review as the bike parks won't open for another week, and I've only been able to ride our local trails at Beacon Hill. The Capra comes with SRAM's NX Eagle drivetrain. It's a bit different from the GX version as it offers an 11 to 50 tooth cassette rather than a 10 to 50 tooth, so it's around a 450% gear range compared to the 500 of the higher end gear set. In reality, I don't feel that's much of a drawback as I've yet to struggle to find a gear to suit the terrain I was riding. While I must admit very few of those have been super fast pedally type of trails, I never once felt that I'd run out of gears at higher speeds and still managed to climb some pretty steep sections when my legs were willing. The 29er Capra is a decent climber. It's not going to win any King of the Mountain contest, especially with me on it, but it tracks well and it stayed hooked up. There's no lockout or climbing mode, but the bob was minimal unless you were standing up and really cranking on it, and traction was noticeably excellent. I'm not sure if that's due to the excellent DHR2 rear tire, the Eagle gearing, the rear shock, or the geometry. The steep seat angle certainly helps. Most likely it's a combination of all of the above. Everything seemed to work well together. I'm starting at a trail named Upper Stalingrad. The first feature you see here is a little drop-off. As you can see, I'm a little hesitant. The little rock at the bottom of the feature is freaking me out. To give you a little background, last October 28th, I broke my hip on this very hill. Snapped the femoral head clean, and it had to be put back together with 3 screws and a plate. While I'm pretty happy I'm riding at all, my hip is nowhere near 100%. Worse, this little voice inside my head keeps telling me, "Don't do it! You don't want to break your hip again!" Not feeling 100% confident, I decided to walk the bike down. As you can see here, too much forward weight and the rear tire wants to hop over the front. Exactly the kind of crash that broke my hip. Oh well, maybe next time. The Capra comes with the Lyric RC featuring SRAM's Debonair air shaft and Charge 2 damper. In terms of suspension performance, the Lyric's initial stroke is very supple and responsive, making it feel like it's sucked down onto the ground. It feels very planted. Comparing it to another bike I demoed which featured a Fox 34 fitted with a Fit 4 damper, I felt the overall ride was slightly smoother and a little less busy, allowing me to look a little further down the trail. It's a relatively subtle difference, but in my opinion the new Lyrics has an edge in terms of overall performance. I haven't tried the Kashima version of the Fox 4, which I hear is more supple than their more budget-conscious offering. The contrast between the 2019 and the 2018 Lyric 4, which I rode on the 18 Capra, is much more pronounced. The latest version offers appreciably more off-the-top sensitivity, traction, and comfort, while staying higher in the travel and diving less readily. In my opinion, you won't find a better Enduro fork in 2019, at least not unless you fork over a lot more cash. At the rear, the Super Deluxe shock is completely redesigned. I don't claim to know what all the technical mumbo-jumbo means when talking about metric sizing and such, but I do know the back of the bike tracks extremely well. There's adjustable rebound damping, although there's no lockout or pedal mode. Again, it doesn't really seem to matter as the Capra climbs quite respectably. But getting back to the fun stuff, the descent down Stalingrad is a succession of perfectly sculpted berms with tabletops, small and large gap jumps in between lots of switchbacks. While I'm still a bit tentative, I felt like I was carving delicious turns in the dirt. Capra performed superbly, and I was impressed with its very sensitive response, good amounts of support, resistance, as well as a well-tuned damping setup. The rear end sits high in its stroke, offers tons of traction. Even when I cased a small gap jump, the Capra just kept going even though I felt like disaster was about to ensue. Stability? Yeah, lots of it. The code brakes offer incredible stopping power, but doesn't have that initial bite that you get from the Shimano's. They aren't better or worse, just different. Personally, I like the greater modulation of the codes, especially in poor traction, but it's all subjective. Most people will find they like whichever they are used to. This bike is so much fun. I love the way it plows
There's
through
the
things.
corners.
It feels like I don't have to be as good of a rider to go fast. It's not as nimble as my old Enduro, which happened to be a 26-incher, but what it gives up in nimbleness more than makes up for in stability. It allows me to be a little bit crazier.
Whoa!
This thing likes to go
This
fast,
time,
and it's
that
very
one
good
hurt.
at doing it. I've had several pucker moments, and the Capra didn't even move. It will be interesting when Silver Mountain Bike Park opens up in a couple of weeks to see how this Capra responds to the nasty trails and all the butt-punching moments they have in store. Stay tuned.